Hi, this is Keith Ward with Visual Studio Magazine, and joining me right now is Ben Dewey. Ben, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Another thing that you are interested in, I know, is PCL, or Portable Class Library. Wanted to dive into that a little bit right now because PCL has been undergoing sort of an evolution of late. Can you describe a little bit about what's happening and what it means for developers?
Sure. Yeah, that was actually one of the really interesting parts of the presentation for me, especially. Basically, what you have is you have the reference assemblies, and this is something that all of your Visual Studio projects are built on. So if you look into references, system reflection might be pointing to some reference assemblies. And what's interesting and what a lot of developers might not know is you can open up that DLL in something like ILDASM, which is a disassembler, and it's completely empty. There's not a single line of code in there. What you have within those reference assemblies folders is just a bunch of kind of empty header files that have the XML and the annotations, and all that's used for is driving the IntelliSense and a lot of the commands that you get within Visual Studio, but also helps you to get the build and the compilation working. And where all the magic actually comes from is something that .NET's had all along, which is just typical assembly resolution. And most of the time, your MS Core lib is going to come out of the GAC, and it's going to initialize in a runtime. So what actually is happening is Visual Studio is using a completely different DLL to build the code and to compile the code than it's actually running it and using at runtime.
Okay, interesting. Now, all this, of course, related to helping mobile development. Now, that's something that your company is involved in. Obviously, it's a key thought in the minds of attendees here at Visual Studio Live and developers everywhere. Even if they're not working in mobile development right now, they sort of know it's coming. What is your sense of where mobile adoption is currently?
So there's definitely a lot of great use cases for mobile, and I think everyone's kind of seeing the future of where the tablets and the devices are headed. And we're seeing a lot of uptick in a lot of people wanting to do mobile websites, and they just want to have something out there. So they're leaning a lot towards mobile app development. One of the things that's really exciting us a lot is those kind of unique experiences where people can have really nice focused tasks that really bring themselves to a good native mobile experience.
Okay. Your company does mobile application development, is that correct as well?
Yeah, we do a lot of mobile custom application development in all three of the platforms. I'm actually heading up our Windows 8 practice, and so we're looking at all kinds of different Windows 8 experiences.
So what is the cost of mobile development? I imagine a lot of people think it's not expensive at all because they're small apps. A lot of times they're very easy to build, they're lightweight, they're not doing a lot of the connectivity, sending data back and forth that larger desktop apps are doing. Is that a reality that it is cheaper to develop for mobile, or is that more of a misnomer?
Yeah, we experience that a lot with a lot of our customers. They're seeing situations where they want to have something quick and easy with mobile, and just by saying quick and easy, it kind of gets this mentality of, all right, this is going to be cheap. And what you actually end up with in the case of mobile is you can maybe get some kind of cost benefits from having smaller task-based work. So fewer screens, fewer pages, less clutter. But ultimately, from a development standpoint, you do have quite a bit more work than you would with a typical website or even a typical desktop application, because you're dealing with offline connectivity, synchronization of various data components that you would need, and then really leveraging those key mobile experiences with devices, notifications. One of my talks on push notification is an example of one of those pieces of functionality that you really didn't have before. Right. And so hooking up that infrastructure on the back end and also on the front end on the devices is that extra bit of work that's often overlooked in the first kind of specification analysis or requirements analysis.
Right. So with the new trend toward mobile development, should those developers still doing web forms apps, who are still using Silverlight, who are still doing the more traditional development, should they be worried that they're going to be out of a job soon? I mean, is everything moving in this direction toward mobile and multiple screen sizes, or is there always going to be a place for the more traditional type of development?
So, I think there's definitely a place for all development. What we're seeing a lot of is the mobile applications have a large back-end component to them. So there's still quite a bit of development that happens on the back end and in order to communicate with everything. What you end up with is, you have a website that was traditionally built in HTML, and now you still have that same website, but instead of it rendering HTML, it's rendering something like JSON or XML. And then the client's still retrieving that information and just doing their own view over top of it. So we try to push a lot of that logic, really keep that logic on the server where it always was, and kind of focus on having these unique views on top of it.
Okay, great. Well, Ben Dewey, thanks very much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.